Okay, how you doing, Nick? It's Mr. Murray. It is Saturday morning, and I am doing a screencast of your kitchen written assignment. I'm going to start with the reflective statement, then I'm going to look at the essay. As you know, we looked at the scores. I'll go over those one last time with you. With the reflective statement, pretty good on the whole. In yellow here is another example of what's considered to be the passive voice. Really, we just want to move you to the subject line here, and I learned cultural information about Japan instead of the interactive oral was able to convey. I mean, that's just a lot of words to say the same thing, and it puts it in a passive construction. So work on that. This chunk in green here is good. This is great. This is the kind of thing that we're looking for. This is specific facts that you learned about cultural contextual elements that were going on in Japan during this time. Awesome. This stuff that's not highlighted in green is more connections to the novel, and that's great, except that we've only got 400 words to really highlight what you've learned. Maybe a sentence or two about how death can affect people around us. That's great. But you don't need to continue to focus on how death is prevalent in the novel. We'll get that in your written assignment or not, but this is about the facts and what you learned in the interactive oral. Like here, I learned that Banana Yoshimoto grew up in a liberal family. Great. Awesome. Maybe tell us some more about that, like being allowed to move in with a boyfriend. You know, that's important, or certainly noteworthy at the time. And then finally, develop this more. Japanese culture of the time led toward the choices in the novellas. Again, put it in active voice. It's obvious that Yoshimoto is affected by the culture, something like that. Or we learned about it, but yeah, not bad. That's a 2 out of 3 as it stands. I think maybe might be a bit of a stretch for a 2, but you know, easy to stretch this into a 3 with those changes. Okay, moving on to your essay. It's in this construction for the title or topic sentence or guiding question, really. I think will is, again, I think maybe the letter more than the will, because it's kind of both, but it sounds kind of awkward. And there's really only one letter in kitchen, so you could say, how does, Yoshimoto's use of Eriko's letter or something like that. Okay. Again, we need to cut to the chase about how this will is being used. So Yoshimoto uses the will as a way for Yuichi to deal with Eriko's death in an emotional way. Something about Mikage being a connection, perhaps family, perhaps more, and then of course physical assets. It seems that this first paragraph is addressing more about how Mikage is affected by the will. And this would lead us back into this introduction with maybe not focusing on Yuichi so much as just a very straightforward Yoshimoto uses the will to advance and the plot, develop the characterization, and create relationships. I'm not sure. But that seems to fit better to what you're looking at, because this first paragraph is more about Mikage, right, and how she's a precious child. I don't think you need to explain precious child here, what it is. That's a little too didactic, meaning you don't need to explain to me or an examiner what precious means or what precious child means. What you could do is that like here in the green, by calling her a precious child, Eriko is essentially including her in this family. And in 6 months' time, she has now adopted Mikage as a daughter of sorts. And that is important. And part of this is, like I said, developing character, or characterizations, relationships, and maybe establishing a tone for how much Eriko loves Mikage. And I think that feeling is reciprocal. Good insight regarding why Eriko would leave this letter for Yuichi, because Eriko knows that Yuichi would be devastated, obviously. I'm not sure. The example that you have, I think, is kind of a digression of we really don't need to support the fact that Yuichi's going to be alone. That seems to be a given. Maybe let's look at how she works on Eriko works on bringing the two of them together. It also helps the readers understand how much Eriko wants Mikage to be in Yuichi's life. That's excellent, right? We don't need this connection to Wolfie. I just don't think that that's the focus here. It's cute and catchy for the initial meeting, and I think that's maybe what's going on with it. But I think that specific quote about I mean it, she's good, you need to bring her in, or the quote from the letter. And again, we need to stay focused on that letter and how the letter is being used. We don't need to go too far afield, okay? Oh, here it is. But I'm serious. I want you to stay here as long as you like. You're a good kid. Oh, sorry. That's not from the letter, but that's a good example. And it's reiterated in the letter, this but I'm serious statement, okay? Your next paragraph is, in some ways, you're saying Eriko and Mikage have come closer together, but the second quote that you're using is more about how Yuichi feels close to Mikage. I think here in this paragraph you say Eriko turns to alcohol after Eriko dies. I think you mean Yuichi. Yuichi's drinking. It really, this last paragraph seems to be just kind of a mashup of some of the ideas you've got going. Part of it is Wolfie's death, and you're trying to, like I said, I think you're really forcing this, him not eating. I get it, I just don't think that's going to really highlight your insight and what you know about this novel, especially how these characters are being developed. There's more there, right? That could be of better use to you. You don't need to go into the alcohol so much. And I think we got to get back to the letter. I feel like we've got to get back to the letter. Maybe you need to get back into the letter and look at maybe some of the physical things, the assets that she's going to leave him, and maybe take it from there. So right now, for knowledge and understanding, Nick, I've got you with a 3 out of 6. That's criterion B. Appreciation of author's choices is a 2. Because again, we've really got to highlight how she's using the letter, how Yoshimoto is using the letter, what kinds of phrases, what kinds of language, the tone. These are the kinds of things that show and highlight that appreciation of the author's choices. Don't get bogged down in explaining, real small syntactical elements outside of the letter or in Precious Child. Organization and development is a 3, primarily because we don't really develop the idea, I think, as thoroughly as it could be with the use of the letter, because I think that's a great idea. I just think it needs to be developed more. And language, 3, and that'll come up as well. All right, so I am going to stop recording and put this on YouTube, send you the link. Again, you've got till Monday. You can have till Monday midnight as far as I'm concerned. All right. Hope you have a good weekend. Thanks a lot. It's slow to stop. Aloha.